Welcome to Alien Shadow. If you love epic sci-fi stories where humanity shines, you're in the right place. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for thrilling HFY adventures. Join us and be part of the journey. The cage in the cave. Cade moved carefully through the broken metal hallway. His boots crunched over dust and bones. The air smelled old and burnt. This place had been abandoned for years, maybe longer, but today he came not for adventure, he came for scrap. Anything he could carry from the old alien ruins would sell well at the outer colony markets. He pushed open a rusted panel, the old door groaning like it hadn't been moved in a century. Light from his helmet flickered across strange walls with glowing lines. He had heard the stories. This was once a lab, or maybe a prison. No one knew for sure, but it was dangerous, and the locals stayed away. That's why Cade came alone, hoping for something valuable, something rare, but instead of treasure, he heard something that froze him in place. A voice, weak and dry, echoing from deep inside the ruin. Help! Help! Cade turned fast, shining his light toward the sound. He wasn't sure if it was real, a ghost, or just old recordings, but the voice came again, this time with pain behind it. Please, someone. He ran, jumping over broken pipes and smashed consoles, following the sound deeper underground. His heart pounded, his breath grew heavy. But he didn't stop, finally. He slid into a collapsed tunnel and saw it, a room glowing with cold blue light, and in the center of it, floating inside a cage made of energy, was her. She looked almost human, but not quite. Her skin shimmered faintly, pale like moonlight. Her hair long and silver, eyes closed tight. Her arms hugged her knees, and her body was shaking. Cade took a step closer, and the cage sparked with warning pulses. She opened her eyes wide, glowing violet and full of fear. "Don't hurt me," she said in a broken voice, her language clumsy but clear. "I won't," Cade whispered, holding his hands up. "I'm not here to hurt you." She blinked, confused, and stared at him like he was a dream. "Who are you?" she asked, her voice shaking. "I'm Cade, a scavenger," he said. "I found this place by accident." She didn't believe him at first, and backed into the edge of the cage, which zapped her skin gently. She winced, and Cade stepped back. To show he meant no harm, he looked at the strange control panels. Most were broken, but one still blinked. It had alien symbols he didn't understand, but some were similar to others he had seen before. Cade had hacked enough scrap systems to guess his way through. As he touched a screen, the symbols changed, and the hum of the cage got weaker. "Wait," the girl said. "What are you doing?" "I'm getting you out," Cade answered. "You're not supposed to be trapped in there." "No one ever came," she said, voice distant. "They left me here, alone." For so long, the final symbol glowed red. And with a loud buzz, the energy cage vanished. Her body dropped forward, too weak to stand. Cade rushed in and caught her. Feeling her cold skin and light frame, she was trembling badly, and her breathing was rough. "You're safe now," he whispered, wrapping his jacket around her. "It's over." She looked up into his eyes, her own shining with tears. "You freed me," she whispered. "After all this time." "You freed me." He didn't know what to say, so he just nodded. She closed her eyes, and her body relaxed in his arms. But the moment didn't last long. Suddenly, lights in the walls flickered to life, and a loud alarm began to ring. Cade looked around, heart racing. "What did I trigger?" he whispered. The ground shook beneath them, dust falling from the ceiling. Ancient systems were waking up, and they were not friendly. He picked her up carefully, holding her like something fragile. "We have to go, now," he said, running back. The way he came behind them, mechanical arms started moving. Drones activated, and red lights chased their steps as they ran. The girl held onto him tightly, pressing her face against his chest. She didn't speak. But her grip told him everything. She wasn't going to leave his side now. She had been trapped for too long, alone in a cage no one else had dared to open. And the one who did the human had risked his life for a stranger. The walls crumbled, the sirens screamed, but Cade kept running. Not for treasure, not for scrap, but for her. And deep in her heart, she made a silent promise. She would never let him go again. The escape through fire. The walls behind Cade exploded as a metal claw burst from the floor. Sparks lit the shadows like lightning, and ancient machines screamed to life all around them. Cade didn't stop running, his arms tight around the alien girl, her silver hair flowing over his shoulder. She was barely conscious, but she whispered two words that made his blood go cold. Kill system. He didn't ask what it meant. The answer chased them with every pounding step. Turrets dropped from the ceiling, scanning for movement, targeting heat. Drones crawled along the walls like angry insects, their red eyes glowing like fire. Cade jumped over a fallen beam, slipped through a cracked door, and ducked behind a control box. A turret fired, the bolt sliced inches from his head, frying the wall behind him. He looked down at the girl in his arms, her eyes half closed. Breathing shallow. You're not dying in here, he whispered. Not after I just got you out. She blinked weakly, her lips moved. Energy core. Main hall. Cade understood. Barely, but enough. The way out was through the main chamber, where the power grid could be disabled. Holding her close, he ran again, dodging fire and ducking between old equipment. The ruins weren't ruins anymore. They were a trap. Resetting to kill anything that moved, he had triggered it when he broke the cage, and now both of them were marked as intruders. Cade slammed into a locked door, cursed, then jammed his multi-tool into the panel. Sparks flew, circuits hissed, and, with a loud click, the door opened. Inside was a massive round room, glowing with pulsing blue light. In the center stood a tall glass column filled with swirling energy, humming louder than the alarms. That was it. The energy core, the heart of the ruin. But something else stood in front of it. A machine, tall, armored, humanoid. Its body made of black metal and burning red lines. It turned slowly toward them, scanning both Cade and the girl in his arms. Unauthorized removal of containment subject detected. It said in a cold voice, "Execute." The machine lifted its arm, and a cannon unfolded from its wrist. Cade dropped behind a pillar as a blast shook the chamber. He looked at the girl, her name. She had whispered it before. Was Sailari? Her eyes were open now, glowing bright, and for a moment, Cade saw something powerful behind them. Can you fight? He asked, knowing the answer was probably no. She nodded slowly. Not much. But I can help. Cade set her down behind cover and stood up, drawing his plasma cutter. It was a tool, not a weapon, but it was all he had. He ran out, drawing. The machine's fire, bolts flashing past him as he zigzagged closer to the core. Sailari reached toward the floor, her fingers glowing with weak pulses of light. She whispered something in her language, and the power in the room flickered. The machine paused for a moment, confused, its sensors disrupted. Cade took the chance, leaped over the railing, slashed the main console with the cutter, and yanked down a live cable. The energy core roared. The lights flared, and the floor shook violently. The machine screamed in static and collapsed. Its systems fried by the surge. Cade rushed back to Sailari, picked her up again, and ran as the ruin began to collapse. Behind them, the core overloaded, sending waves of heat and pressure through the tunnels. Walls cracked, fire burst from pipes, and alarms drowned in static. They barely made it outside, stumbling into sunlight as the mountain behind them trembled. Dust and smoke rolled out like a storm, and the ground stopped shaking only after the final explosion silenced the ruin forever. Cade dropped to his knees, gasping, his arms still around Sailari. She coughed once, then smiled faintly. You lived, she said, almost laughing. We lived. He looked at her, face covered in dust and sweat. "Yeah," he said. "Barely, but—" Then he noticed something else, a drone floating high above. Silent, watching them. It blinked once, then shot off into the sky, vanishing toward the stars. Cade knew what that meant. Someone knew Solari was free now. Someone who didn't want her to be. He helped her stand, and she leaned on him, her legs still weak. "Who are they?" he asked. She looked up, her voice calm and cold. "My enemies," she said. "They thought I would die in that place." Cade nodded. "Not anymore." She looked at him, her expression softening. "You could have left me," she said. "But—" "You didn't. I wasn't going to leave anyone in a cage," Cade said. She smiled again. "And this time, it was real." "Then I won't leave you either," she whispered. "Ever." The one who hunts her *night fell quickly in the outer deserts, and cold replaced the fire of day like a sudden slap. Cade had set up a small camp beside an abandoned fuel station. Half buried in sand and forgotten by trade routes long ago, he sat near the fire, his jacket draped over Solari's shoulders. While she quietly sipped water from a tin cup, her body was still weak, but her eyes had grown sharp again, watching every shadow that moved in the distance. "You don't sleep much," Cade said softly, tossing a dry twig into the flames. "I did, once," she whispered. "Before they took me." He didn't press her, just listened to the crackle of fire and the whistle of wind, but far above them, through the dark clouds and dust storms, something watched, a black ship, small and quiet. No lights, no engine sound, just drifting on stealth power. Inside it, a tall figure sat still, covered in bone-colored armor, eyes glowing behind a slit mask. His mission was simple: recover the fugitive or leave no trace she ever existed. His name was Arketh, a hunter with no face, no voice, only silence and precision. And he had tracked her signal to this planet, where someone, a human, had dared to break the cage on the ground. Cade stirred, feeling uneasy. He didn't know why, but something in his chest told him they weren't alone anymore. Solari looked at him and nodded slowly. "He's coming," she said. "You can sense him." She closed her eyes. "He hunted me before. He knows how to move in the dark. He doesn't speak, only kills." Cade stood up and grabbed his old rifle. Not much against a real hunter, but better than nothing. "We should move," he said. "This place is too open." They packed quickly, no words wasted, and slipped into the shadows of the canyon nearby. They found shelter in an old rock tunnel carved out by time and water. But they were already too late. The hunter had landed, silent as dust, and his scanner picked up their trail footprints in the sand. Broken grass, body heat. He moved like a ghost, a silent blur of death through the night. Solari stopped suddenly in the tunnel, holding Cade back. "He's near," she said, her voice tight. Too near. Cade raised his weapon, scanning the dark ahead. A sharp clang echoed behind them, not in front, but back where they had just walked. Cade spun around, heart racing. "Run," Solari said, grabbing his arm. Now, they took off, racing through the narrow stone path, their footsteps loud in the silence. Then a blur moved above them, and something slammed into the ground in front of them. Arketh rose, tall and deadly, his mask blank and glowing. Cade fired without thinking. The shot sparked off the hunter's armor like a pebble. Arketh moved fast, faster than a machine, grabbing Cade's weapon and breaking it in half like paper. He threw Cade back against the wall, hard, and turned to Solari. She stood still, breathing heavy, her hands glowing with soft energy. "I won't go back," she said, her voice shaking but clear. "You'll have to kill me." Arketh lunged, blade flashing from his wrist, but before he could strike, Cade slammed into him from the side with a metal pipe. It bent on impact, doing almost nothing. but the distraction was enough. Sailori pushed both hands forward and released a wave of energy. Like a pulse of light, Arcath flew back, hitting the canyon wall with a loud crack. The hunter rose again, slower this time. His mask cracked at one edge. But he didn't fall. He simply vanished in the blink of an eye. Melting into the dark like smoke, Cade crawled to his feet, bleeding from his arm, breathing hard. Is he gone? He asked. No, Solari said, helping him up, but he won't strike again tonight. He'll wait for weakness. Cade looked at her, his face grim. Then we don't give him one, he said. They climbed out of the canyon by morning, bruised, tired, and hunted in a quiet field beyond the rocks. Cade finally collapsed from his wound. Sailari knelt beside him, glowing hands pressed to his arm. Her touch soft and steady. You risked your life again, she whispered. Why? He smiled through the pain. Because I'd do it again. Her eyes filled with tears that didn't fall. You could have died, she said. For someone like me. Cade looked at her. His voice, low and true. You're not just someone. Solari, he said, you're worth saving. She didn't reply, but her hand stayed on his chest even after the wound was sealed. The sun rose behind them, but in the sky, a shadow moved once again. The hunter wasn't finished, and next time, he wouldn't give them a warning. The girl who chose freedom, the sky shimmered with the rising heat of dawn, but Cade lay still in the grass. His arm wrapped in makeshift bandages, chest rising and falling slow, deep, steady, beside him. Solari stood tall for the first time since her escape, her silver hair waving in the morning wind. She no longer looked like the girl from the cage. She looked like someone who had remembered her strength, but her eyes were still fixed on the sky. Because she could feel him, the hunter Arcath. He hadn't given up. Cade stirred and opened his eyes, blinking slowly. You didn't leave, he whispered, voice dry. I told you I wouldn't, she said without turning. He tried to sit up, wincing, but she gently pushed him back down. You need rest, she said. Let me stand for both of us. Cade smiled faintly. You're stronger than you look. She gave a soft laugh, but it didn't last, because in that moment, the sound of engines broke the silence above the valley. A sleek black ship descended, not the hunter's vessel, but something larger, cleaner. Carrying banners Cade didn't recognize, Sailori narrowed her eyes and stepped forward. Her voice filled with calm. My people, she said, they found me. Cade sat up fully now, heart pounding. You told me they left you, he said, locked you away. Not all of them, she replied. Some fought to find me, others gave up. But my name? It still means something to a few. The ship landed on the grass with a gentle thrum, and the door opened with a hiss. Out stepped 3 aliens wearing robes of white and silver, their faces wide-eyed when they saw her. One of them, an older male with lined skin and glowing cuffs, dropped to one knee. High-born Solari, he said, voice trembling. We thought you were lost forever. Solari stood still, her expression unreadable. Then why did you let them cage me? She asked. The man lowered his head in shame. I was weak, he said. But I came to fix what I failed to stop. Sailari looked back at Cade, who stood slowly, not sure if he should walk away or wait for her decision. The older alien continued. Come home, Solari, we need you now. Your voice, your blood, your legacy. She turned to him. Her voice sharp. I'm not a tool or a symbol, or a trophy to be locked away when I'm inconvenient. No. The man said, you are free. Now, and we offer you a place, a throne, not a prison. Cade watched quietly, the fire in his chest burning slow, steady. He didn't say a word, but inside, he believed she would go. Why wouldn't she? Her people, her name, her power, everything was waiting for her now. But Sailari walked back toward Cade and stood in front of him. Close, their shadows touching. "You gave me freedom," she said gently, "not because you wanted something from me, but because you couldn't walk past someone in pain." Cade met her eyes. "You don't owe me anything," he said. She smiled, tears gathering in the corners of her eyes. "I know," she said, "and that's why I'm staying." The other aliens behind her gasped, whispering in shock, "You would choose a human?" The elder asked, stunned. "I choose someone who sees me," she answered. "Not my title, not my blood, but me." She reached down and took Cade's hand, her fingers warm against his. Cade blinked in disbelief. "You're serious," he said. "I've never been more," she replied. "You pulled me out of that cage, but you never once tried to control me." The elder bowed his head, then rose, a strange respect in his voice. "Then we will honor your decision, Highborn," he said. "But know this, your enemies will come for you still, even here." Solari nodded. "Let them come," she said. "But I won't run anymore." The ship lifted back into the sky, leaving the field empty once more. Cade looked at her, still trying to find the right words. "What now?" he asked. She smiled at him, a soft but fierce smile. "Now," she said, "we build a new life. Your world and mine, side by side." Later that evening, as the stars came out one by one, Cade sat beside her on the ridge. She leaned against him, peaceful, content. Above them, the stars didn't look like threats anymore. They looked like a future. And for the first time since her freedom, Solari whispered, not in fear, but in hope. "This time," she said, "no cages, no hunters, just us." Cade looked out at the horizon, his arm around her. "Just us," he agreed, and together, under the night sky, the human and the alien girl, no longer trapped, no longer hunted, began again.